Hey guys, and welcome to the channel. I'm Zemore, the Dad and DPS, and we're back once again today with an episode of Scrip My Pants, a series where I spend 2,000 scrip at the Purveyor and see if we get anything interesting. Now, today we'll be using ranged weapons, and if you enjoy this type of video, don't forget to leave a like, a comment, and subscribe. Don't try this at home, kiddies, because this is pain. So yeah, we're going to be doing some ranged weapons today. Hopefully we can get something good, but you know, with my luck recently, probably not. Bloodied short assault rifle with critical damage and invisibility when you're hitting targets. This one's actually not bad. This one's actually not a bad set of effects. The only real bad effect is the bottom invisibility one. This is definitely something that you could use. Bloodied, very decent damage, and critical damage is always decent on a ranged weapon. Well, not on all ranged weapons, on like, you know, rifles. So yeah, that's actually something I could give away because I'm fairly certain I've got much better versions of that. Juggernaut's Gauss rifle with weapon speed and 90% weight reduction. Now this is a heavy as balls weapon, so weight reduction is actually very good for me when it comes to that. I just don't rate Juggernauts as an effect. The whole point of it just seems very lackluster and it needs a rework. Weapon speed on this gun though, because you charge it and then fire it, I just feel is a very wasted roll. So yeah, more script than it is anything else personally. Medic submachine gun with weapon speed and action point cost. If only it didn't have medics, if only it wasn't a submachine gun. Yeah, the medics just completely ruins this weapon and makes it almost unusable unless somebody really wanted it, but at the same time, two other effects are really good, which is really annoying. So yeah, good rolls on what ended up being a duff weapon. Mutants Alien Blaster with limb damage and 1 agility. While I love the Alien Blaster, and I think Mutants is actually a very underrated effect for, you know, newer players for the very least, this is just a very bad set of effects on the weapon. Yeah, just no, not something we're going to keep. Definitely scrap. Nocturnal single action revolver with critical damage and action point cost. Again, very good rolls on a bad weapon. Critical damage is good. Action point cost is good. Damage at night is not good. And the single action revolver, one of the worst weapons, if not the worst weapon in the game. Get a quad on this gun and you spend 6 weeks reloading it. I hate the damn thing. Anti-armor flamer with critical damage and damage resistable reloading. Anti-armor is a very good effect, but with critical damage and resistable reloading on here, it kind of ruins the rest of the weapon. You really want damage while aiming or fire rate on this type of thing, and with the existence of holy fire, no one really uses any other flamer these days, unfortunately, because it's just far superior, especially if you re-roll it for damage or what you specifically want, and it's already technically a god roll. So yeah, unfortunately, not a good pick. Is this the submachine gun server? Anti-armor submachine gun with replenish action points with each kill and bonus VATS critical charge. Now this is an okay one because you're using VATS and you're using crits. You could use this in VATS to completely headshot stuff and get your AP back. That is something you could definitely use this weapon for. But with the same reason that holy fire replaced this as a weapon, the Elder's Mark also replaces this, so it's kind of disappointing to get a submachine gun these days, but this one isn't a bad roll. It's probably something I would give away rather than use. Next up, we have a Fixer with Executioner's Last Shot and Critical Charge. So close, so very close. Probably something I would give away rather than script. Last Shot kinda puts a damper on this being, you know, a really good weapon, but the critical charge on there is not bad, and Executioners is really not bad if you're up against big enemies like the Queen, the robots, and Arrow, for example. Though the robots at the moment die in like 2 seconds because of the bug, but you know, that won't be forever. So yeah, I'd probably give this weapon away rather than sell it. Scrip it rather. Nocturnal with damage while aiming and movement speed while aiming. Now, Nocturnal just ruins this weapon. I wouldn't use it in a manual aiming mode, but you know, some people are going to go around doing that. So damage while aiming isn't my personal pick for this weapon, and movement speed while aiming does work well with it, but Nocturnal just kind of ruins the whole thing for me. Stalker's Broadsider will damage while aiming and resistance while reloading. yeah, Stalker's one of those effects that just does not have any place existing, or just needs a massive rework to make it viable. Damage while aiming is actually not bad on this type of weapon, and resistance while reloading, you know, sometimes useful, but I just don't. Yeah, Scrip. 100% Scrip. We're halfway through, and anti-armor with limb damage and fast movement speed on a light machine gun. Yeah, not good. Limb damage kind of craps it out. Fast movement speed while aiming would have been okay if we had something like damage while aiming, faster fire rate, explosive, you know, there's any number of things that could have been that secondary effect that would have made this usable. But I just feel like it's Scrip, unfortunately, as an LMG, so yeah, no. Zealot's Broadsider with action points for each kill and reduced weight. At least it's got reduced weight, is the only thing I'm going to say about that. Everything about it was terrible. I hate it. Juggernaut's Black Powder Blunderbuss with replace action points for each kill and 90% reduced weight. Juggernauts, I've stated why I don't really like it. It just defeats the purpose. Like, the second you get any damage to you, you're losing, like, offensive capabilities. So it just, very sad effect. It needs reworked. Replace action points for each kill, you know, is okay. Not on this weapon, because you're getting one kill, and then you're reloading for 6 weeks. Weight reduction, at least it's not getting taken up the space in the inventory, but, god, awful effect. Furious Ultrasight Gatling Laser with replenish action points with each kill, and damage resistance while aiming. Now this one's actually okay. Furious, again, I will state, is not a bad effect. In this gun, you're going to be able to get those shots out pretty damn quickly. Replenish action points with each kill, you know, if you're using things like, is it Dodgy? The one that uses up action points to avoid damage, you know, that could be usable with this weapon. And resistance is going to give you resistance, so it's always that kind of good thing. But, not the best set of effects that could have been on there, but not the worst by a mile. Furious Short Enclave Pistol with critical damage and damage resistance while reloading. Not something I would use. Furious on here, you could use it with a flamer barrel and you will get that Furious damage really quickly. Critical damage, again, the AP cost in these weapons is pretty damn hard, depending on what you're using. So this is going to be difficult for me to use effectively, and then that bottom effect it's not a god roll, but you know, it's something I could potentially roll into something better later on and then add some mods on, because I have a surplus of mods at the moment, but not what I'm looking for personally, unfortunately. Bloodied Single Action Revolver with damage while aiming and resistance while reloading. Now, one thing I will say is that damage resistance while reloading, you will get your use out of with this weapon, because it takes forever to reload. If someone was wanting to be bloodied and manually aiming, I suppose this could be a good, you know, gunslinger weapon. But again, you would get, like, 250 damage while reloading is actually really useful in this weapon, as it is on, like, the Black Powder weapons as well. But, dear God, do I want to use this weapon? No, I don't. Troubleshooter's Harpoon Gun with critical damage. I suppose it's going to hurt robots. That's all I've got to say there. I suppose it's going to hurt robots. A couple more to go. Medic's Combat Shotgun with critical damage and reload speed. Two good effects, capped with a really bad effect. This is what today has felt like. We've got some really good sets of effects together with a bad main effect, and it's kind of ruined so many weapons. And the same thing I could say about that shotgun. It ruined it. Executioner's Harpoon Gun, what the freaking hell. With damage while aiming and resistance while reloading. Why? Like, it's not a bad series of effects, but it's just why? Why? Last one. Stalker's Short Pump Action Shotgun with limb damage and 1 perception. I have no idea what the top picks are. So for the first pick, I'm going to go with a Fixer with Executioner's Last Shot Critical Charge. Now, it's not a bad series of effects. It's not the best series of effects either. And that's the kind of problem with that middle effect, Last Shot. It's just a very naff effect. But, you know, this does have a fast fire rate, so you might get some slight use out of it. If the crits align, it might do some extra damage. But, you know, this is essentially a 2-star that's missing that middle star as far as I'm concerned. Yeah, it's okay, it's just not great. Next up, we'll go with the anti-armor submachine gun. Now, all these effects on here are completely usable. They're not what I would particularly look for in this weapon, but they do have utility if you're going to use it in Vance. You're going to be able to get that AP back as you headshot enemies and take them out, as well as do, you know, more crits. So that, again, will help you get your AP back. Against bosses, probably not going to get much use out of in comparison, but against smaller enemies, it's a good daily driver for definite. And tonight's top pick, I'm going to have to go with a bloodied short assault rifle with critical damage and the invisibility. Now, all these effects are very usable on this weapon, and the point I would make is because of the bloodied and the critical damage, it is going to do the most damage out of all these weapons. And assault rifles are one of those weapons that I don't think really gets used that often. Granted, they are ugly as sin, but they're not like completely useless. Just not the best weapon in the game, and a lot of weapons have that problem. They aren't useless, they're just not the most optimum. And this weapon does deserve a little bit of love from time to time. So yeah, that was today's video. If you enjoyed this type of content and love seeing me do Scrip my pants, don't forget to leave a like, comment, subscribe, and we'll catch you all next time in the wasteland.
Feeling the heat, I'm taking a gamble, brain poker with the devil. In shadows we ramble, cards on the table. The stakes run high, a twisted game of fate where innocence will die. Can't resist the temptation of dodging the flame, trading my soul for fortune. Getting caught up in the game, the devil's breath whispers, promises of weapons, but deep down inside, my conscience starts to unfold. The room grows dim as we lay down our beds. My heart beats fast, filled with